When companies start a FinOps journey, they focus on just simple cost reduction, but there's so much more they can achieve. Hi, I'm Tom Shields, and on this Cloud Intelligence Report, getting more out of your FinOps practice. Jevin and John are here with me. Gentlemen, FinOps can be so much more than just cost cutting, and that's something that's not commonly understood. What value can be provided by FinOps when done right?
Cost cutting is kind of the low-hanging fruit. After the first month or two, hopefully you've got that under control and you start to develop your processes. But we really want to see moving beyond that, moving towards chargebacks. That used to be the goal. Now we've added unit economics on top of that. And that really gets into the revenue that the cloud is generating, your return on investment that we briefly mentioned earlier. If I'm getting $1.30 in revenue for every dollar I spend in the cloud, I want to spend a lot more money in the cloud. I don't want to slow it down. I don't want to cut that. That's where you get into problems. You can't cut your way to profitability. You got to find where those resources are profitable, and where they're not, I need to shut down that whole application because it's not generating the returns I expected. To be able to pull in revenue with your cost and come up with the true margins and the true payback that you're getting on your cloud investment, that's where we want to see companies get. It may take a couple of years to get there, but you got to stick with it because the returns are incredible.
Talking to people who are going through their FinOps journey, when they look at that, I often hear them talk about these really complex, long projects to try to build just the right perfect dashboard to capture all that information. What are ways that people can more efficiently and effectively get that information that you're talking about that allows them to connect the cloud costs to the business value?
Once you have everyone at the table and you've got that a single tool, we do recommend that the FinOps teams be centralized. There's always a debate about decentralized or centralized, but centralized gives you that holistic view. The tool enables that whole team to have the analytics and the dashboards built in, and the algorithms and the complexity is a lot to manage. So we don't recommend the custom, just like I don't recommend spreadsheets. I don't recommend trying to build those. It might take you 2 or 3 months to build one dashboard, and then, somebody else wants it a little bit different. Rely on those tools, those multi-cloud tools to enable that, and then you can really have that full vision and again, that transparency we talked about earlier, so everybody feels like, hey, this is accurate. This is really my cost. This is what I can do to impact and improve my line of business.
There's a really important set of things that the tools can provide that you can complement with the things that you understand about your business and how to make those connections. And so it feels like that's sort of like really kind of the key point is how do you actually get the right balance of those two? Because doing it completely yourself means you don't get the benefit of other best practices, but not having the ability to customize for your business also means you're missing out.
Right. And that's why collaboration is the first thing that we want to see between those groups. Once we got the personas that we mentioned earlier together, we want to have that collaboration going because, 2 minds are better than one, and, 6 or 12 in the room. Deciding that with a single dashboard and a single source of truth is really going to enable that team to be successful.
I got a question following on from that. Can you use FinOps to actually affect better engineering and better development upstream? Is that a factor here? Is that another value that FinOps can unlock?
You can't blame the developers if nobody took the time to explain what cost, how much a CPU costs, how much a web service costs per minute, per byte of usage, number of calls per hour. Then the light bulbs start to go off and you say, hey, I can re-engineer this to have a better performing, because performance is really important in this digital enterprise that we're in today. You have to have a well-performing application as well as the one that's, able to maintain from a cost perspective. And so the developers can kind of put 2 and 2 together and hopefully get 4 or 5 or even something better.
Yeah, I had one other question ties back to a point you made earlier, and that's, people are in multiple clouds, right? And you talked about tools needing to operate across multiple clouds. So what kind of value does that provide, versus using, say, hyperscalers' proprietary tool?
A lot of those hyperscaler tools are free, and we like to say sometimes you get what you pay for, but the bigger problem with that is, regardless of the cost, is the learning curve that you have to do on all 3 clouds, and they're changing constantly. So if you're trying to download data, they're changing their API, they're changing their fields around, renaming things, adding additional fields and columns to the data. That just makes the complexity so much harder to manage. And just the fact you got to learn a different one if you're in 2 or 3 clouds, forget if you're still hybrid and have something on premise, that just, quadruples the complexity.
Sounds like you can do more with fewer people if you have a single tool that runs across everything.
That's right. That's why we see, like I said, medium size, even up to some larger companies running it with one person and the rest of the people are just part-time.
Following this advice, companies can lower cloud costs and also save manpower and design more efficient infrastructure. Be sure to tune in to our other FinOps segments on dealing with complexity and creating a FinOps culture.